Now, my next guest is Cindy Smulders, who happens to be my neighbour. I've invited her on the show this morning to raise awareness about something that's turned her daughter's life upside down. 17-year-old Georgia has a brain condition. It's called FND, that's Functional Neurological Disorder. In just 2 years, it's seen Georgia go from being an Olympic hopeful, there she is, to being paralysed from the waist down and losing the ability to speak. And that was us at Christmas time. Cindy is here now. Thank you for coming on, Cindy. It's really great to see you. And it's just, she was doing so well, wasn't she? She was doing great. There we are. Her whole world is in front of her. You know, the prospect of being in the Olympics, and then she gets struck down.
I know, it is. It's awful. So fit, healthy, happy, popular girl, and now suddenly paralysed from the waist down and unable to speak. And all because of something no one's ever heard of.
Well, this is the thing. I'd never heard of FND. I hadn't heard of it, but it actually is common.
It is. I mean, I'd never heard of it either. No. And as a family, we wish we had never heard of it. But once you actually get a diagnosis, which takes quite a long time, you then understand that most people have never heard of it, including a lot of the medical profession, which is very difficult. But it's, you know, it can affect all sorts of people in lots and lots of different ways. But Georgia was right up there, being happy, being successful, very popular girl, and then suddenly all that is taken away from you and nobody believes what's wrong with you, which makes it even harder.
It's so difficult. It sort of happened. She fell and hit her head, didn't she?
Yes, so she had originally started when she was 15.
Yep.
She just got back from doing a World Cup event, so she was super fit and healthy, and she fell off a bench and hit her head on a concrete wall. So for round about 3 months, we were constantly told it was concussion and then post-concussion syndrome.
Right.
Then she collapsed in a field, which was the first seizure. To me, it looked like she'd had a stroke. That's what FND can do to you. But, you know, and then eventually you get a diagnosis. But it's the non-understanding and the non-recognition of what it is that is what is so difficult.
But it's really, really hard. She's amazing. She's so tenacious.
She is.
And she did recover from that. But sadly, again, just before Christmas, struck down again.
Yeah, so she got herself back. She got herself back in the
Amazingly.
GB squad. She's a hugely driven girl, and her kayaking actually became part of her therapy, so it did help her. But then she got hit on the back of the head at an incident in December, and since then she's either been in hospital or she's now at a rehabilitation place in Sheffield.
It's so hard for you, and it's so hard for everyone who loves her. She's got great friends, I know that.
She has,
and they've been really helping her. But to see your beautiful girl like that is just so tough, isn't it?
It's awful.
It's hellish.
It's awful, and you know, when you're not with her, you want to curl up in a ball and be upset, but you can't because you've got to battle for every single thing to get this condition recognised to try to help her. And I've met loads of other parents who are out there with teenagers. This is really not that uncommon, but nobody has heard of it. And to me, that just is ridiculous. And because nobody's heard of it, there's a huge community out there who really feel quite abandoned and just lost. And so what I'd really like to do, with the help of the charity FND Hope, is stop that and make this become something people have heard of. That's the start.
Because that's the thing. When she first had these symptoms, you had to go all round the houses. You didn't know what it was. You didn't know what it was.
No.
But neither did the medical profession.
No.
So everybody seems to be working in the dark a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. We have some amazing specialists in the UK, and the charity FND Hope, Dawn Golder, absolutely brilliant at being someone to go to. But as far as the medical profession are concerned, the majority of the people we've met have never heard of it. And it's also not fixable with a medication or an operation. So it needs physical therapies, physio, all that type of stuff. So if doctors can't fix something, they don't quite know what to do with it. And so you have this whole abandoned community out there, and it can affect anybody.
That's the thing.
Teenagers, you know, any age. It tends to be more women than men, but it can affect men as well. But it's very, you know, you can't say it's common, but it is the second thing the neurologists see after migraines. Everyone's heard of a migraine, but nobody's heard of FND, and it strikes me as bizarre, absolutely bizarre.
How is she at the moment? How is she doing?
She's okay. She's making very gradual progress. I think she's very frustrated that it's very slow. And from being an athlete to not being able to move, or I think have any independence. She's finding really, really difficult. But she is making progress in the right way. So on Easter Sunday, she'd got some movement in her left shoulder.
Right.
So for the first time in 7 weeks, I got a hug, which was lovely.
Oh, Cindy.
And when she laughs now, some sound comes out and she's learning to speak again. So usually she never shuts up. So it's quite nice to hear that.
Yeah, of course.
But it is amazing for the 7 weeks that she hasn't been able to speak. A 17-year-old girl can still be stroppy just through facial expression.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, you know, she's emailing and she sent an email to for us, you know, for everybody to share with. She says FND is a very hard thing to deal with, particularly as no one seems to have heard of it, as we were saying, and that makes it so much worse. It's very misunderstood. We are on a mission to change that, so she's very determined. She says, I've learned a lot through all of this, and the support from friends and family has been humbling. My mum has been my absolute rock, and she says herself, even though I can be very stroppy, she's stuck by my side, always been there for me. I'm so proud of her for helping raising awareness for FND, and I know it hasn't been easy for her. She says, this is Georgia, this is typical Georgia, I will beat FND, and FND will never define me. As she said, it's going to take time, isn't it? It's going to take a lot of time for her to get back.
So for the brain to be able to settle down and reconnect all the different parts in the body is going to take time, and you have to be patient. And unfortunately, Georgia or I are not particularly patient people.
Well, who would be? She just wants to get back out there, doesn't she?
She just wants to be back with her friends, with her boyfriend, with her cat. You know, all these normal 17-year-old things. Yeah. She will beat it. FND has not met her or me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I absolutely believe, and more importantly, she believes that she will get better. And that's a really important part of what I've learnt with FND. You have to believe. It's not easy. No. The therapies are uncomfortable, painful, make you feel sick, because you're trying to make your body do what your brain says it shouldn't be doing.
Exactly.
So it's very difficult. You have to be very resilient. But I do believe she will come out of all of this an incredible young woman, and I will continue to fight very much for the charity and all the other people out there.
Cindy, thank you very, very much indeed. And you can find more information on FND on our website. And obviously, we wish Georgia all the very best. She is a remarkable woman, just like her mum, very strong.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine.